Convicted of killing his parents.
It was wrong. It was wrong from the beginning.
I'm Susan Roberts in Washington. In a rare showing of bipartisan support, the president and top lawmakers are working together on an economic package. The story is coming up.
And thousands of homes are set to be demolished in one parish. Could what's being left behind cause problems in the future?
Plus, the latest on the death of a Dillard University student that forced the school to implement new health precautions.
And the Saints are finished playing football for the season, but Sean Payton's hard at work scouting new talent at the Senior Bowl. Night Watch follows the lottery.
Good evening and welcome to the Louisiana Lottery Show. Here's tonight's winning numbers. Join Club Lotto. It's free. Go to louisianalottery.com. Thank you for tuning in and playing. All drawings are witnessed by a legislative auditor.
From WWL-TV, the spirit of Louisiana, this is Louisiana's news leader, Channel 4's Eyewitness News Night Watch.
Good evening, I'm Mike Hoss.
And I'm Lucy Bustamante. A dense fog advisory has just been issued for parts of our area.
Here's what it looked like a short while ago in the French Quarter. You can see it, thick fog. Interesting to look at, quite pretty, but tough going if you drive a streetcar or a French Quarter buggy. Let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Carl Redondo for the latest. And Carl, the question is, will it be around for drive time tomorrow morning?
It just might, because the dense fog advisory goes until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Take a look at the advisory now. It's only for south of the lake right now, and the parishes from near Terrebonne all the way to the South Shore, North Shore parishes, you are not in this dense fog advisory, but you may still see some fog around for the overnight hours and into the morning time frame. Now, visibility is about 1/4 of a mile to 1/2 a mile across the South Shore, so definitely allow yourself some extra time. We'll have more on that and the front that should sweep this out of here coming up in weather.
All right, thank you, Carl.
It is the biggest sign yet from the federal government that it's serious about preventing the U.S. from a possible recession.
Today, the Federal Reserve cut a key interest rate by 3/4 of a point. And with the U.S. economy stumbling, Washington knows that there's no time to waste in pushing through a stimulus package. Susan Roberts reports.
Secretary Paulson had a good meeting.
President Bush and Congress are racing to pass an economic package aimed at bringing the U.S. economy back to life.
I believe we can find common ground to get something done that's big enough and effective enough.
Mr. Bush discussed specifics with lawmakers Tuesday, and in a rare show of bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats are promising to have a stimulus agreement on the president's desk by mid-February.
But our goal is to do it before we break for the President's Day recess.
There's a real need in the country for the Congress to act, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do so in a bipartisan way.
The president's $150 billion economic plan would offer tax rebates and business tax cuts. But the Democrats would like the economic relief to extend beyond that. They want to increase unemployment benefits and food stamps. Both sides agree they need to move forward quickly, but there are still many details to be worked out, including the timing of Mr. Bush's proposed rebate checks.
It will be a major challenge to issue checks before May or June at the very earliest.
With the economy in trouble, analysts are cautioning that the boost needs to be paid for within 5 to 10 years, so the country does not go even further into debt. Susan Roberts, CBS News, Washington.
And joining us live now for what this rate cut means for you is business analyst Mark Rosso, who teaches at the Tulane Freeman School of Business. Mark, thanks for being here on a very, very busy day.
Sure, thank you.
One of the things that a lot of people are wondering is, does this plan mean that you should take money out of the stock market? Is there a reason to freak out at this point, really?
No, Lucy, we don't want to do that. And the time to take money out was before all of this happened. So right now we'd be playing into the panic, would be selling stocks at a lower point than what we had just a few days ago. So the thing to do now would be to stay the course. We've seen things like this happen before. We're going to see them again. It's part of the process. But the thing to do would be to stay in stocks for a long period of time.
but certainly people who've been watching their 401ks lately, it has been very tough. For people who are closer to retirement, what advice would you have for them?
Mike, people that are approaching retirement really need to rebalance their portfolios as we're all aging, and I had the same 401 statement come to me recently, and it showed a little bit change from the previous quarter. But as we're looking forward to those 401k dollars at retirement, we would be rebalancing our portfolios, getting more conservative as we age, and that'll protect us from this volatility in the market.
A lot of people have too many of them to begin with. Credit cards, do you think that they're going to react by lowering the interest rate?
Well, I think any of the interest rates right now that are attached to the market, attached to the prime rate, those would be perpetual products, home equity lines of credit, credit cards, anything that has a revolving type of interest rate or product, those interest rates will have the best chance of being lowered with this rate cut.
And certainly a part of the fuel for this economic stimulus has been the mortgage industry. Out of all of this, with the prime going down, do you think mortgage rates will also go down, that people might want to look to refinance in the next few months?
Mike, definitely. I think the mortgage rates are heavily attached to the prime rate. The action that the Feds took today will result in a lower prime rate probably as early as tomorrow. So for people that didn't refinance a few years ago, I think this would represent an opportunity to do so. For those who want to get out of adjustable rate mortgages and refinance into a fixed rate mortgage, this is what the Fed is doing to create an opportunity to do exactly that.
And a rare emergency meeting today, and the Fed might not be done next week, right?
Oh, exactly. This was a big deal. This emergency meeting first was a big deal, and 75 basis point cut, and they're not taking the possibility off the table for next Wednesday's meeting. They might cut again.
All right. Mark Rocha, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, more than $4 billion in projects approved for a hurricane recovery business loan program received a 2-month extension today from the State Bond Commission. The panel postponed decisions on the projects while it waited for direction from new Governor Bobby Jindal. The blanket extension gives the 4 dozen projects an extra 60 days to go to the bond market for borrowing in the loan program through the Gulf Opportunity Zone Act.
Governor Bobby Jindal today announced his 3 new appointments to the State Board of Education, and it means the end of their terms for 2 New Orleans area representatives. Governor Jindal appointed Penny Dasduke of Mandeville and 2 newcomers to fill the governor's 3 positions on the board. Dasduke had served on Bessie as an elected representative of the 1st District since 2004. The new appointees replace those by former Governor Kathleen Blanco. Those being replaced include Leslie Jacobs of Metairie and Edgar Chase of New Orleans.
A couple from Venetian Isles settled with State Farm on its wind versus water lawsuit. Terms of the settlement between State Farm Fire and Casualty Company and policyholders Craig and Cindy Loke were not disclosed. The deal was reached before the case could go to a trial in federal court in New Orleans. This case was among the hundreds of lawsuits Gulf Coast homeowners filed against insurance companies just after the storm.
In St. Bernard Parish, more than 5,000 abandoned homes could soon be set for demolition. The parish president says the move could prove crucial for the recovery effort, but some feel more than just the houses need to be removed. Begad Shaban explains.
Damaged homes and empty lots now rest where a community full of neighbors used to be.
Basically, the whole roof's got to come off.
John Deegan is among the few who's come back to the Chalmette neighborhood.
It's going to be an unbelievable amount of people to try to fill these streets up, and it's not going to happen.
St. Bernard Parish President Craig DeFaro believes it can and is still trying to clean up the mess Katrina left behind. His administration has recently identified more than 5,000 abandoned homes in the parish they say have been untouched since the storm.
And that's a mixture of homes that have not been repaired and in some cases not even gutted to this point.
DeFaro wants them torn down and he wants FEMA to foot the bill.
We as a parish, as a local municipality, do not have the financial wherewithal to handle the demolition of these properties on our own.
FEMA has already paid for the demolition of 5,500 homes in St. Bernard, and DeFaro is confident they'll pay for the 5,000 more. But what FEMA won't pay for is the slab removal once the homes are demolished.
The slab is not a health and safety risk, typically. So what more likely will happen is we'll take the house down to the slab and obviously to the foundation.
But while the slab may not be a health concern, it could become a major financial headache for potential buyers.
If you're going to entice someone to want to buy this property, it really has to be removed, because one of my neighbors thought that she could use the plumbing on a slab of a house that she knocked down, and she can't.
But DeFaro says he hopes to compensate future property buyers who get stuck with an unwanted slab.
It would be taken off of the purchase price based on the cost of slab removal.
And so those choosing to rebuild from the ground up can still give their new beginning a brand new foundation. Begad Shaban, Eyewitness News, Night Watch.
DeFaro says demolition could start within 60 days. Since the storm, FEMA has spent about $194 million on demolition and debris removal in St. Bernard.
The New Orleans City Planning Commission today took no action on the issue of 2 proposed processing and recycling plants in New Orleans East. Residents in New Orleans East spoke out against the projects this morning. They're very worried about what the projects could do to the local businesses and the environment. Developers say the facilities will only collect trash in the metro area, and then it will be moved every day to Alabama. No word as to when the applicants would go before the full city council.
The president of a local janitorial service faces a charge of trying to help conceal a kickback scheme involving former Orleans School Board President Melanie's Brooke Sims. 58-year-old Bernal Moliere allegedly tried to conceal a $40,000 kickback to Brooke Sims by putting it in his own bank account and giving it back to her in smaller amounts. Brooke Sims has pleaded guilty. Sources have identified the businessman who paid her as Congressman Jefferson's older brother, Mose Jefferson. A grand jury has already questioned him and former Councilwoman Renee Gill-Pratt. And former U.S. Attorney Harry Rosenberg says because it is a bill of information, it usually means he's pleading guilty and will cooperate.
With the government? Absolutely. If he's going to go ahead and accept responsibility, he's going to be trying to improve his own situation by cooperating with the government.
Rosenberg says Bernal Moliere will respond to the charges in court on Thursday. He could face up to 5 years in prison if convicted.
A man police accused of a series of child rapes and attempted rapes is now standing trial in Orleans Parish Court 3 years after he was first arrested. Jury selection finally started today in the trial of 21-year-old Kendrick Thomas. Investigators say that he's the man responsible for a series of crimes back in 2005 involving a black Cadillac Escalade. From forcible rape of a juvenile under 12 to kidnapping charges, Thomas is now facing life in prison if he's convicted of these crimes. The Orleans Parish District Attorney took the death penalty off the table, even though in this state, child rape can be a capital crime.
This is not the type of case that they would really want to push to a death penalty phase, given the fact that there was no homicide involved, and given the traditional reluctance of Orleans Parish juries to impose the death penalty anyway.
Thomas's trial is expected to last about a week.
Slidell police are looking for this man tonight. Investigators say he's in his mid-30s, between 5'7" and 5'10". Police say over the weekend he robbed 2 hotels, a Best Western and a Hampton Inn. Investigators say he didn't get a great deal of cash in the robberies, but because hotel lobbies are such busy places, they worry about what could happen if he strikes again.
And that's one of the things that's very scary about it. You know, at any moment while he's doing this, someone could walk in to rent a room or looking for ice or for anything.
If you think you know who the suspect is, you're asked to call Slidell Police at 985-643-3131.
Dillard University tonight is taking extra precautions. This is after a 22-year-old student at that school died from meningitis. Coming up next, what steps the school is taking.
And we're right in the middle of the flu season. How busy are doctors this season? And is one Louisiana area seeing more cases than another? That's up ahead.
Wherever you are now, wherever you see yourself going, it's important to have a reliable way to reach your destination. Whether it's an annuity, a rollover IRA, or a financial partner to help guide you to the retirement you want. At Regions, we're putting all of our resources, including the investment expertise of Morgan Keegan, into helping more people reach their destinations every day. Regions, it's time to expect more.
This time is going to be different. There are weight loss products that make your head spin and your heart race, and one that doesn't. There's having every bite count, and there's blocking 1/4 of the fat you eat from turning into pounds. There's doing it alone, and there's doing it with Ally. 50% more weight loss than dieting alone. Make this time different. Commit to what's proven to work. Ally.
Public health officials are encouraging vaccination against bacterial meningitis and will offer them free tomorrow.
And this is after a Dillard University student passed away today, and the university announced the death of the 22-year-old student to the classmates. Susan Edwards has more.
A somber day at Dillard University, where university officials held an assembly for students and staff on Tuesday, telling them that one of their own had died from bacterial meningitis.
There's support spiritually and emotionally, and we had some experts in today from Tulane, and I think the Department of Health and Hospitals that came in and talked with us and gave us some information, explaining vaccine, and if we hadn't had it, that it would be available. So they've taken every precaution that they can to make sure that we're knowledgeable.
On Wednesday, the university will hold a clinic for all students and staff interested in getting vaccinated, something highly encouraged by doctors.
You take one shot, it protects you all throughout adolescence and college years. It's great, it protects well. The disease is devastating. One dose, you're done. Safety profile is wonderful. Do it and get it over with.
Awareness of the illness is a priority for the Acosta family. Almost 2 years ago to the day, Robert Acosta was an active, energetic student at the University of Louisiana Lafayette when he complained of severe leg and body pain. Less than 24 hours later, Robert was in the emergency room, diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, where he died hours after exhibiting his first symptoms.
What was the most shocking thing to have found, first of all, was how fast this could take a vibrant, young, healthy person and bring them down within hours.
The devastating loss compelled the Acostas to not only educate themselves about meningococcal meningitis, but other parents, and encourage vaccinating against the illness, something they never knew was an option. It's too late for the Acosta family, but they cope, knowing the awareness they raise could save a family from losing a loved one too soon.
I want parents to hear this. They have a choice now. We didn't at the time. We can't go back and fix it, but we can now. And that's, as a mom with meningitis, this is what our goal is to bring awareness and education to our families, to parents, to medical professionals as well.
Susan Edwards, Eyewitness News, Night Watch.
Public health officials are holding a vaccine clinic at Dillard University tomorrow. It starts at 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon for both students and staff members at Dillard. They also tell us that the people who had direct contact with the student have already been offered preventative treatment for this illness.
And Carla's back, and we talked about the fog at the top of the newscast, and certainly serious situation on the South Shore, at least for right now.
Yeah, there will be fog on the North Shore, but the South Shore is under the dense fog advisory, so you may still need to allow yourself some extra time for both sides of the lake, but tomorrow morning, especially south of the lake. Take a look first at the dense fog advisory. It's until 9 a.m. in the morning, especially south of the lake for those low visibilities that we'll be seeing. Right now, visibilities are about 1/4 of a mile lakefront, Belle Chase, 3/4 of a mile around Armstrong International. Slidell at the Weather Service office at 5, but you can bet around the twin spans that visibility is low, 1/4 of a mile down towards Boothville. What we're waiting for is the front to come through to sweep the moisture out of here. Look at the winds, east, southeast. Not until central Louisiana do you get a northeast and northerly wind where the drier air will start to move in, but that may not occur until after the morning commute time. You can see our temperatures are pretty much in the upper 50s to low 60s, and with dew point temperatures up, it's going to keep that fog and that moisture just in place. Take a look at temperatures outside at Armstrong International. At 10 o'clock with the fog, 59 at the airport, 60 Audubon, and 60 Slidell. The relative humidity at 93%, northeast wind at 5. Dew point temperatures along the Gulf Coast, you can see definitely on the high side, especially right along the Gulf Coast and south of the lake. So with that moisture in place and the front still to our west, the fog could be around until 9 a.m. tomorrow. We don't have much in the way of rain, but we'll have to still keep a 20% chance for light rain or drizzle with this fog. There's a front in central Louisiana. It still has to come through, and by the morning commute time may just be hanging around our coastline with the fog threat in the morning. and that 20% chance for a sprinkle. Tune in to Laura Bucktail in the morning, show the latest on the visibilities. Then after the front slides through, it'll be slightly cooler, but we may still have some moisture riding over the front, so we'll keep a chance for a few showers for tomorrow. Into Thursday, our rain chance at 20%, but it'll be cooler in the 50s for the next couple of days. And then by Friday, some mild air may start to work its way back into our area, but it'll still be cool, but we're looking at mild conditions, especially as we head towards the weekend. So Friday's parades, cool and dry. Mild 20% chance for rain for Saturday, mild 10% chance of rain on Sunday, and then as you can see for next Wednesday and Thursday, rain chances may be quite high as we head into next week. We had temperatures above our average today, well in the 60s to 70s. Those are gone. And temperatures this morning in the 40s to low 50s. Tonight we'll be in the low 50s with that dense fog advisory south of the lake until 9 and a slight chance for a shower. Upper 50s to low 60s for tomorrow, with temperatures cooling down a bit from today's 70s, 60-ish for tomorrow, then 50s for the rest of the week. Then by the weekend, that rain chance will start to go. That rain chance will stay low, but our high temperatures will start to go back up towards the weekend.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Well, cases of the flu are just starting to turn up in the New Orleans area. The state health department says doctors are seeing it in adults and children, but they say it looks like there will be an average number of people with the flu across the state, and no parishes seem to have an abundance of cases. Doctors say if you get quick onset of fever and body aches, get to a doctor fast.
If it's diagnosed early, there's effective antiviral medication for influenza A and B, but the only way to diagnose it is to have a swab put in your nose and a test to be done. The medication has been used in this country for quite a number of years, but there is an FDA warning about the use of the medication for influenza, so you need to talk to your physician about that.
The complications of Tamiflu have been only in children, primarily in Japan, causing potentially dangerous behavior. And we'll be right back.
Tonight's Pinpoint Weather Forecast is sponsored by LAS WeatherGuard Windows.
The race for the White House on the Republican side has one less candidate now. Today, Fred Thompson announced he's dropping out. The actor and politician was not able to break past a third-place finish in the early primary in caucus states, most recently in South Carolina. Some published reports suggest Thompson's decision came about partly because his mother is very ill.
28-year-old actor Heath Ledger has been found dead in a downtown Manhattan residence. New York City police say a housekeeper found him around 2:30 Central Time this afternoon in the apartment that they think is his. Police say drugs could have been a factor. The Australian-born actor was an Oscar nominee for his role in Brokeback Mountain.
Striking writers say they will not picket the upcoming Grammy Awards, but the Writers Guild has yet to grant the music industry show a waiver that would allow its members to work on the ceremony. Record officials say the show will go on no matter what. The Grammy airs February 10th right here on Channel 4.
And ahead in sports, UNO finds a new offensive style this season.
And the Saints organization is well represented at the Senior Bowl this week.
What happens off the field, almost as important as what happens on the field here at the Senior Bowl. I'm Scott Cody in Mobile. That story next in sports.
Now, with Eyewitness Sports, Jim Henderson.
The Senior Bowl in Mobile is a job fair for both players and coaches alike. Scott Cody has more from the annual gathering of prospects and prospectors.
1 year ago, following a trip to the NFC Championship game, the Saints had a very limited presence at the Senior Bowl. This year, however, with the 10th overall pick, the Fleur-de-Lis logo is prominent as any in Mobile. But this week has become almost as much a networking opportunity for the coaches as it has a springboard for the players.
Anytime there's a gathering of coaches, be it the combine or there's a certain amount of business that takes place between, general managers, agents, coaches with assistant coaches, guys filling out staffs. I mean, there's a lot of work that gets done along with the evaluation of these guys.
One prominent face in Mobile this week is former Ole Miss head coach Ed Orgeron. He's been seen talking with Saints officials and has even been rumored as a possible candidate as the Saints' next defensive line coach. Orgeron, however, told Channel 4 today, unsolicited, mind you, quote, "I can't talk about any of that Saints stuff," end quote. In Mobile, Scott Cody, Eyewitness Sports, Night Watch.
Matt Ryan of Boston College won't be coming to Mobile for the Senior Bowl, but he is expected here in New Orleans this spring to accept his latest award. The senior quarterback is this year's winner of the Manning Award, bestowed on the best quarterback in the nation by a panel of local and national media, along with each of the Mannings as well. Florida's Tim Tebow was second in the closest balloting in the 4-year history of the award. Unlike other awards, the player's bowl performance can be taken into account. Ryan threw 31 touchdowns during the regular season and 3 more in the Eagles' bowl win over Michigan State. Boston College has won 8 straight bowl victories. A preseason ranking of 22nd in the nation by Baseball America is just one reason Tulane's looking forward to the beginning of baseball season in another month. Another is the return of the program to a refurbished Turchin Stadium. The Wave hasn't played there since 2005, and already Rick Jones can see what the combination of a beautiful facility and a winning program with national credibility can mean.
We target a unique guy. And so you don't visit as many because you're not going to sign as many. But since this thing came out of the ground in the summer, both this year's fall class and next year's class, we visited 11 players, and we've gotten all 11. Now, I've never had that happen where you're 100% over a period of time, even one class.
Tomorrow night, the UNO Privateers will play their last home game of January when Western Kentucky comes to the lakefront. At 14-5, the Privateers have already equaled last year's victory total. They've ridden the scoring talents of Bo McCaleb, who's become the conference's all-time leading scorer. But he's brought much more than that to his team.
Competitor. Bo is the most unselfish scorer I've ever been around. He wants to win, period. He will do whatever it takes to win. Defend, rebound, get his teammates involved. And I just told him we're going to have an offense where you're not going to be the only one scoring. We need to spread it around so teams can't just focus on you. And he says, Coach, whatever it takes to win, I'm in.
A District 11 3A matchup on the hardwoods tonight with Douglas visiting Reed. For the Reed Olympians, Chris Alexander gets inside for 2 for Bernard Griffith's group. But Douglas would counter on the outside shooting of McPhair, who will get a rainbow 3 to drop for the Bobcats as they go on to win it tonight by a score of 50-38 over Reed. That's Look at Sports.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
That's our news. Thanks for watching.
Have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.
WWL-TV is part of Belo Media Companies, sharing the highest standards of journalism and community service. Listed on the New York Stock Exchange as BLC. For news